All right, so this is a Van Norman Duplex milling machine. And I literally have not tried it. And we're going to hook this up and see if the three-phase motor runs. Basically, this head has the ability to turn. It can be a vertical, or it can do different degrees, all the way down to a horizontal milling machine. And so, definitely a unique machine. And let's find out if it powers up. Alright, three-phase, on. Got power at all three legs. So this motor has a Lima drive. Basically, it's a gearing system that's directly hooked to the motor. So, all right. So I believe right there is neutral. So pull out first. Try that. So this milling machine has a 40 taper, and the only thing I need to do is, so this is supposed to be the shaft that comes down. This particular one has been fabric cobbled right around there. It won't go down in, and so it doesn't go in far enough to actually thread into the taper to pull everything tight. So I either need to make this one work, or I need to find an actual shaft for the collet holder, the 40 taper holders. This piece basically would go down from the top. This fits only one. There's a little notch right there, and then this screws threads on here. And then this is a 40 taper. So this is the taper insert. It's got a threaded top. So basically this should, and doesn't quite, it's got the wrong size thread there. It should feed down and pull these tight. So this particular one actually has a chuck in it already mounted, and this would fit up into there. These little flange tabs fit into these grooves, and then this threads in from the top to pull it tight. Basically, as it comes down, it pulls this up tight. And so, like I said, this one's already got a chuck in it, but you could use a much more simple style that basically just has an opening for a cutter or whatever tool you're putting into it. Set screw, tightens it down, keeps it fixtured, and then it fits on the same way, right in that notch. So before I can even cut anything, I need to either make this work to pull the 40 tapers tight, or I gotta find something else to use. Well, at this point we know that the motor runs, we know that all the linkages work, everything basically is feeding to the actual head where the work is going to be done. And so that is really what I wanted to find out on this machine. It's definitely got some noises in one of the gearboxes. It needs to be oiled, greased. I got to change the oil in the actual gearbox for the motor. And then I need to get a flat belt here for, this is this would drive the ways on the bed up top, or up front. And so I got to get a flat belt to feed that. But all in all, cool little machine, and don't know if I'll fully restore it. I'm definitely going to get it into usable and working condition, but for now we know it runs. Alright, next up, a badass grinder. Okay, so this is a Kalamazoo 6x48 belt grinder with the 3 horsepower 3-phase motor. I bought it not having any clue if it worked. I bought it just knowing they're badass. And so let's find out. Alright, let's try it with a belt. That was running the wrong way, so we gotta change one of the wires. So to reverse the direction the motor turns on a 3-phase motor, essentially, once you power it up, all you have to do is go in and change any 2 of the 3-phase leads. And so basically these are the 3-phase leads, these 3 black wires. So basically I'll just pick 2 of them and we'll swap them to the other motor windings, and it will reverse the spin that the motor does and put it into the correct belt turning and the belt coming downward that we want. Before I ever do anything, always test stuff. You never know. Three-phase on. Well, we know the motor has the power. It can do the grinding, it can handle the load. I'm wondering if these belts are just too old. They came with the machine. This is the second one I've shredded. I'm also wondering if there's a burr somewhere in here that is catching. So that'll be another project, another day. But I know the machine runs and basically just needs a good cleanup. I did sand this platen a little bit just to get some of the rust, surface rust off. But yeah, that baby's gonna be a monster. So I pulled this cover off this welder to check and see if it was wired for single or three-phase. Because it has the white, the red, and the black all connected to this switch. All three wires are connected to this switch here. The white, the red, and the black. I know that it is wired for three-phase, not single-phase. Because otherwise, it would only have the white and the black attached to the switch, and the red would be capped. So I needed to verify that before I went any further, because I just wanted to make sure it was set up properly. Because this machine can be single-phase or three-phase. So this welder is an absolute monster. You can do stick, MIG, TIG, pulse. It can run a spool gun. I don't have the argon tank currently. I called them Lincoln Electric, and they basically told me that I am at the very edge of whether or not I can even run this on the three-phase that I've currently got. So the plan is I need to upgrade the panel, or at least get a bigger breaker to be able to truly run this thing. But I wanted to power it up and find out if it actually ran the way I was told it ran. And it seems to work great. I mean, I haven't actually put it through its paces yet. But now I know the thing powers up. I'll probably make a nicer cart for it, but for right now, this will do. This should really change and make my ability to fabricate things 1,000 times better than always stick welding everything. So, assuming I can get the right power, look forward to seeing this bad boy in action. I only know enough to be dangerous when it comes to these old machines, but man, am I dangerous. So these three wires that I'm hooking up are the exact three wires that ran to the three-phase in the old machine shop when I unhooked them. And so when I cut the conduit, I just left the wire kind of sticking out of the box, and so I know this is wired up exactly how it was when I took it out. So I'm not concerned at all about this being wrong. Only concern I have with this particular lathe is when I started it up in the machine shop, there was some grinding here in the top. I've since done a bunch of research, and I think that it's just low on oil. I don't know for sure, but I don't think there's a whole lot I can mess up unless it's something's like a broken gear or something, but I don't think there's anything like that on this one. But we will see. Right there is the electric motor, and it sounds like there's a bad bearing on this far side of the electric motor. That is what's causing the grinding, I believe. What do you think? So right now, for some reason, I'm only getting it to the spindle to turn on 360 and 700. And so I'm not exactly sure why. It might be just that it is low on fluid. I believe that this headstock is low on fluid. So if you have any experience with these machines and exactly what could go wrong with them, definitely let me know. I'd love to hear from you. So the ways on this machine are absolutely beautiful. A while back when I first got this, I cleaned them up a little bit. There is almost not a single ding in them. There's a little bit of surface rust on them. Before I started cleaning it up, there was quite a bit more. But it cleaned up well. This has hardened ways. These are the ways, the V ways right here. There's a V here, and then there's a flat over there. So the carriage rides on this V-way and this back flat. The tailstock, this here, rides on this inner flat and the back V-way. And so, you know, it moves butter smooth. Well, as you saw, I got the power feed for the carriage there to move toward the head slightly, but in messing with it, I can't get it to do it again. Now, this gear here is directly attached to that screw, the long screw that basically the carriage runs back and forth on. I think it has to engage with this larger gear, and for some reason I think something isn't quite loose or stuck, and I don't quite want to I don't want to break something. So I got to figure out if this shifts down kind of at an angle to gauge with these teeth, or if I'm totally mistaken and this doesn't have anything to do with these, which they look like they fit right into that gear perfectly right there. And it's just like this mechanism either needs to be loosened here and here and just twisted so it's always engaged, but I don't know if that's the way it's designed. So I'm not going to mess with anything until I do a little more research. But back in neutral. So at this point, we know the spindle spins and it engages. It's not engaging with each and every one of these RPMs on this gear selector here. So I'm not quite sure if it is still a potential that the low oil is the cause of that, which is very, very possible. We got the spindle or the screw here, the lead screw, to be able to move the carriage and move the cross slide, but it's not doing it reliably. I think there's an adjustment somewhere. This might be low on oil as well. It needs to be filled. And there might be something out of adjustment. I don't quite know yet. I haven't popped this off, haven't opened that up yet. But awesome step forward. Assuming those are simple problems like, you know, low on oil, maybe a passage in where there needs to be cleaned out or unblocked. Maybe this is low on oil, maybe it just needs to be adjusted over here on the gearing. You know, those are great problems, you know, simple problems. At this point, you know, between those small things and maybe some bearings on the motor, I don't foresee this being a machine that is overly problematic. Now, that doesn't really tell us what's going on inside here until we get it opened up. It does have this unique chuck here, this Jacobs spindle chuck, which I've never tried out, but, you know, I'm going to give it a shot before I go trying to find another chuck for this thing. This takes an L2 taper. And I do not have any other L2 taper chucks. I'm looking for some chucks for this. I don't want to spend a ton of money on them because, I mean, I just don't have a lot to spend. But I'm going to use this one until I can find something else. From what I've heard, these are actually pretty awesome chucks. But, you know, don't know until I give it a shot. It still needs quite a bit of cleaning and whatever to get it, you know, a little bit better looking and everything. But before I do any of that, I want to get it up and running, make sure that it doesn't need anything big. And then, honestly, I'm going to put this bad boy to work. If you know anything about the potential problems I'm having here with this Cincinnati Hydrashift, it's a 17 by 54, definitely leave a comment. Let me know. I'd love to know your input. Seems like a great machine. I think once I fix a few things, you know, this is going to be my go-to lathe here in the shop. So we'll see. This will definitely be in future videos, and once I get around to fixing it, I'll take you guys along as well. So in the last video, I said that I didn't need the additional wired-in wireless antenna for this, but I'm just in the middle of the shop and it's still not turning it off. So I'm going to wire that in real quick. So for some reason this auto switch stopped working on me. So I got another one I'm going to replace it with. Oh goodness, this is one of those ones with the stupid like green cover over it. So what you'd think, if you look at this, right, you got the switched leads right here. You got your ground, and then, I don't know, an additional ground, right? Maybe? I don't know. But no, that's not the way this works. Apparently, what's this say? Connect green sleeved wire to ground only in retrofit and replacement applications. When neutral connection is available, remove green sleeve and connect to neutral. When is neutral not available? I mean, this one only has the 3. Stupid directions. I gotta get out directions? This is garbage. I never read the directions. Black, neutral. I guess I have neutral, so I guess I'll... This is one of those stupid times you gotta pull this stupid green wire off. Oh wow, look at that, we have a neutral wire. Wow. Alright, so now that green light is the antenna, and so all I gotta do is, anywhere in the shop, hit this button. You see how green light flickered. The 3-phase converter is now running outside. Same when I want to shut it down. That's not good, that's all water. Something chewed on this wire. Alright, for the moment, this shutoff switch is not getting power on this leg here, so I bypassed it, went directly into the mag switch, and that will feed the motor just to see if this baby will run. As you can see and have seen, this thing's been damaged at some point in its life, so that needs to be replaced anyway. But right now we just want to see if this motor's got any power and it'll run. So we're gonna give this a shot, and assuming it works, I think it's gonna work. Assuming it works, we got to get a new cutoff switch for it. So let's fire it up. Look at that mess. We got 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is wired for high voltage. This will be a project for another day. The wires in there are short, and I don't have a whole lot of room to work. And to be honest, at this moment, I don't need this bandsaw running. So I'm going to just put it back together and move on. I promise I'll come back to it. There will definitely be a video on this bad boy. This motor is locked up starting to rain on me, so I think Mother Nature's telling me this is a good place to end. Got the big bandsaw, the joiner back where it was, and right there is the three-phase converter on the new pad. Ready to rock and roll. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed. So this is another one of our litters. The litter you saw in the previous video is still only a week old, but these puppies are 7 weeks old. And so this is a litter of 13. So in the summer we have 3 litters. Well, kind of 1 in the spring, 2 in the summer, and then we do a 4th one in the winter. And so right now we've had a lot of puppies at the house. Yeah, what? You see those puppies?
Yeah.
Those are cute puppies, huh?
Yeah. Okay, little ones. Little ones, little ones.